If you fantasize about fighting friends in a first-person shooter on the tabletop, then stay tuned to Freeman's Fun and Games. Yes, welcome to my channel, which is all about bringing fun to the tabletop. I'm not trying to produce in-depth reviews or how to play videos, but more introductions to some of the games that I have been finding fun. Now, video games and tabletop games are very, very different beasts. I'm sure you'd all agree with that. But sometimes there's an area of that Venn diagram that does cross, where the lines do blur. I'm quite a big fan of video games that replicate that tabletop experience. I'm thinking things like Blood Bowl or XCOM or Slay the Spire, for example. Games on the tabletop that replicate the feeling of playing a video game are a bit rarer and harder to come by, I think. There are plenty of games that are based on video games, on their IPs, but it's more about the feeling that you get playing a video game. Which brings us to the subject of today's video, which is Mantic Games' Halo Flashpoint. Now, I have to confess right out of the bat that I was always more of a PlayStation guy than an Xbox guy, so never really a natural Halo fanboy. My experience of Halo was something I played at other people's houses. So I've always associated the fun of Halo with that multiplayer experience. Couch co-op or capture the flag, that type of thing. The real reason I was drawn to this game, though, is the engine under the hood. That's because the rule set for this is based on what is probably my favourite rule set for any miniatures or board game, and that is Dead Zone. I will leave an explanation for Dead Zone for another video, but trust me, it has everything you could possibly want from a fun and rewarding sci-fi skirmish game. And at the core of that is this thing called the exploding eights mechanic. Both games use an 8-sided dice, and when you roll an 8, it explodes. It becomes another opportunity for success. So you can, and it chains, so you can keep going. So effectively what it means is that there's always a slim chance that you could do amazingly, which is, it's a dopamine hit that you would normally associate with, you know, a problem gambling habit, isn't it? But what it does do is it creates some cinematic and memorable moments on the tabletop. It's the type of thing that gets everyone who's playing the game laughing and having a good time. We'll talk about the exploding eights more in a moment. So I was naturally very excited when Mantic launched this. You'll see that at the bottom here it has demo copy. That's because I volunteered to demo this game at Tabletop Scotland and elsewhere. This copy is exactly the same as the cheapest starter set that you could get. It's the Recon edition. It contains 2 identical Spartan teams to recreate that sort of quick-fire online multiplayer feeling. They've since released a lot more for this game, expansions, bigger maps, different locations, different factions, all the kind of things that real fans of the Halo video game will get excited about, and you should definitely check it out if you are some of those things. But this set has remained a brilliant entry point for people who are new and they want something that can just get played out of the box. I've demoed this game to families, and it really is the type of game that can appeal to someone even if you've never played any kind of war game or miniatures tabletop game in the past. It works because it doesn't require a huge collection of models. It doesn't require lots and lots of books and complicated things to look up. And importantly, it has quite fast accessible rule set. So on that note, let's take it to the tabletop.
How much time was left?
So this is the basic starter set. It's called the Recon Edition, as I say, and it's a really good entry point to the game. If you know you're going to go all in, then it's probably worth your while to get the slightly more expensive one, the Spartan Edition, because that will have more variants of models to play. It has some banished faction as well, so you've got your aliens and a little bit more of everything, really. But this serves brilliantly as an entry point into the game and would be great just as a sort of playable board game on your collection as well. So here we have, this is the playing mat. It's actually pretty good durable paper, and it has two sides. This is your classic playing side, and then it's the demo side, which we'll get into in a minute. Then you have here your two teams of identical Spartans. These are single-piece plastic miniatures. They're pretty good. I think that as the different editions and expansions have come on, the quality of these has definitely improved. But they serve a purpose. They're excellent gaming pieces. These are your character cards, which you can use to check your stats of your different models. You've also got weapons cards for the different weapons you can find. Good fun stuff there. These are dice, 8-sided dice for this game. And they also have command dice, which you roll at the start of every turn, and they give you little special things you can do. That is like adding an extra dice. That gives you an extra shoot action if you want to shoot twice. Same thing, that's an extra fight action. This is a special order, which depends on which leader you have. In the Spartan Edition, it's basically like an Overwatch, so you can shoot someone as they're charging at you. And that is an extra activation if you wanted to activate two models at the same time. So you roll those and you can use them. They're like an extra resource that you have during the game. Quite good fun. Here is a Master Chief model, which I painted bright pink just to upset the bros. That doesn't come in the starter set. That's a little Brucey bonus that I got. These are the terrain for the game. It's very hard, durable, cardboard terrain. I know that a lot of people think, they might turn their nose up at cardboard terrain, but this stuff is pretty good. It slots together very easily, and as you can see, it's in good nick considering I've done hundreds of demos with this. All the different types have two sides, so you've got variants. These shipping containers can be this kind of grey look or this blue, futuristic, glowing version. And so you can build them up to be two different ones or the same. And there's enough in here to start with, and I think probably as we'll go into, the more terrain you get, the more variety you'll have in your games as we go on. So let's set up the demo side and we'll just go through the game. Okay, so this is the demo side of the game. This mat here on the flip side is the full version, but this is a really good site just for learning the game, and it has all the rules that you need on the outside here, which obviously makes it very convenient for learning the game. This is the side that I use for demos. It has two Spartans on one side and two on the other. As you can see, I have painted them up in the classic red versus blue. So let's run through the character card for each model, and then we can use that as a way of explaining the rules of the game. So as by way of an example, here we have the Spartan Brawler. This is like your fighting hand-to-hand type chap. The character card basically has your name here and the picture, so you know which model it is. Here we have the keywords that might be used. Energy shield just means, and all the Spartans have this, that they have two on their energy shield. And just like in the video game, this replenishes when you're not doing something. So at the end of every round, this will heal back up once. And you flip these round when you get hits. That's your energy shield depleted. And then, it, as I say, it regenerates up. And then you have your basic stats here. This is SP is speed, RA is ranged, FI is fight, SV is survive. This is armor, and that's the hit points of that particular guy. Speed, there's two numbers there. The first one is how much you move on a short action, and the second one is how much you move in a long action. So in in Halo, Freudian slip there, in Halo and Dead Zone, you don't use measuring tape or anything like that. It's very board game adjacent. So you will see that here, each of the squares are 3-inch squares, but they actually are cubes. So there's verticality in it as well. So if you've got a movement of 2, you can go 1, 2. Actually, you can go diagonal, so 1, and then up 2. So you can use the movement however you want, diagonal, up and down, and it's all based on cubes. So it's very, very, very simple. So you get 2 short actions or 1 long action and a movement. And as you can see, this brawler here has 2, 3, so he can go 2 of the cubes and then shoot, or he can just do the full long movement. A bit like the video game XCOM, you've got 1 long movement instead of 2 shorter actions. Ranged, fight, and survive are all the same in that those are the numbers that you're trying to beat on an 8-sided dice. It uses 8-sided dice, this game. These numbers will never change. You never do plus or minus ones to those. They are always the same for that character. The thing that changes in this game is the number of dice that you're rolling. That's how they affect your chances up or down. And by the best way to explain that is to show you in an example. If this brawler here is going to shoot this chap here, this Zvezda, hiding behind this box, he is going to roll 3 8-sided dice. You always start with 3 8-sided dice. And you're trying to beat his ranged attack stat. So he would roll 3 8-sided dice, an 8, a 5, and a 2. Now his ranged attack is 5. So in this case, you would have 2 successes. Except in Halo and in Dead Zone, 8s explode, which means it counts as a success. But then you roll another dice as well. And in this case, a 6, he would have 3 successes. If you rolled another 8 there, it would continue to explode. And in this way, even the weakest model can kill the biggest monster in this system. It gives you that unreliability that allows you and encourages you to go for broke in those crazy moments. So here you would have 3 successes. This model here would then roll his survive stat, which is, as you can see here, is a 4. And so I'm rolling 3 dice because that is the basic, and he gets 2 successes. So 1 has gone through. That cancels out 2 of the successes from the brawler, but then 1 still goes through, and in that case you would flip one of his shield tokens down. He takes that, they go off first, then your armor soaks up damage, and then hit points. So as you can see, Spartans are pretty tough. It takes a lot of wounds to get them injured. And unlike other board games and war games, when these guys die, they tend to respawn in a very video game fashion, which is pretty cool. Okay, now the brawler is looking down. He has the height advantage on this Zvezda. In this case, he would add 1 dice to his roll. So he has the starting basic 3, but then he adds another dice for height. Now, he still doesn't have a clear view. You have true line of sight, and you can see that model is still a little bit hidden by that terrain. So he has 3 dice plus 1 is 4 dice that he's rolling. He would roll. There you go. He's only got 2 successes this time. Less good. So then the Zvezda again would only have 3 dice to save, and he would roll 3 saves. Then in this instance, he doesn't get any wounds at all. Okay, now the brawler has the height advantage, but he's also in a position here where he can see the entire model and the base from his own viewpoint. And in that case, you also add +2 dice. So you would have your basic 3, +1 for height, and +2 for full model view, which gives him 6 dice that he's rolling. Again, ranged attack is a 5 up, and here you can see, oh, I've rolled 3 8s. Oh yeah, that's an 8 train. So then you're going to take those 8s, they all count as successes, and rolling 3 more. Well, there you go, 6 successes. Now, this poor Zvezda, in this case, has 3 dice to save. He's better hope for some 8s, or he's going to lose some here. He doesn't. He gets 2 successes. So 4 will go through. So you would take, both of these would go down. That's 2. And then his armor would soak up the other 2 to make 4. So he still doesn't take any hit points. You can see how tough these Spartans are. Now, the weapons are differentiated with keywords here. And you can see that his shotgun, it's only got a range of 2, so 2 cubes, but it has knockback. And in this case that we just did here, this Zvezda, even though his armor soaked the damage, he would be knocked back into the next square. In this case, the edge of the board counts as a hard wall, so he'd be getting slammed into that wall, and the wall would effectively attack him back. Another example of an interesting keyword is this one here on the Spartan Deadeye, optics, which means that those rolls explode on a 7 as well as an 8. Oof, deadly. Brawling or hand-to-hand combat works in very much the same way, except that when you move into a square with another model, an enemy model, then you automatically get a free assault action. So that doesn't count as one of your 2 short actions. If there's already 2 of you in the same square at the start of the round, then it will take a long action, i.e. your entire action, to do the combat. So in the same way, you enter the square, you roll 3 dice, this time checking on your fight stat, and see whether the assault works. You get an extra 2 dice for charging in, so that does mean that you've got quite a big chance there. And then again, your weapons may include keywords. This one here, for example, ESD, means that you automatically take away one of the shields before you even start counting your successes. The person who is defending again rolls on their survive stat. If you start in the same square as someone and you want to move away because you think you're probably better at shooting than you are at fighting, then breaking away like that means that this model gets a free assault on you. So it's something that you probably don't tend to do. You tend to kind of get stuck once you're in hand-to-hand combat until one of you can't walk away at all. Finally, it wouldn't be Halo or a video game without floating weapons that you can pick up. In this case, you can see the Force Sword is here. So when this brawler goes to make his assault, he can walk over 1 down here, pick that Force Sword up, and use it immediately in this assault. And that is basically how Halo Flashpoint works. You're going to take alternate activations, each taking a turn to activate one model, and once you've done that, you place a little counter next to them just to remind yourself that you've used it and that it's not going to go again. If your model dies before you've activated it, you can then respawn on the same turn, coming on the edge of the board, which is dictated by which kind of scenario you want. And of course, all the scenarios that you remember from Halo are there. Capture the flag, oddball, and all the favourites from that time. Of course, if you can't be bothered with any of that, you could just knock lumps out of each other in a classic deathmatch mode. There's plenty of replayability in this game because every time you do it, you can set up the terrain in different ways. And of course, this terrain that comes with it is all reversible. So there's 2 different versions. You can expand it to get more terrain. And in fact, Mantic already make terrain that fits this 3-inch cube aesthetic because of Dead Zone. And so they do have plenty of terrain crate items, things like this stuff, and it's all modular. So you're getting these 3-inch plastic bits and then assembling it in however you want to. Now they say that you don't need to use glue to assemble these. They do have push fit, but I would always glue a bit of it together. And they have since released a terrain that is specifically Halo themed as well, so there's some extra bits. But the core basic design of it is the same as this. It's really, really good stuff. And of course it fits the gameplay mode brilliantly. And then as you play it more, you find that you want to really fill up the board with terrain. As I said to you at the start, this is just the demo side of the board. And of course, when you're playing it a full-sized game, you're going to flip this over, which I'll do now. And that's it. It's an 8x8 grid. And all games of Halo and of Dead Zone are stuck on this 8x8 grid. If you want more playing area, you build up. And that verticality, of course, as it's embedded into the rules, it's a big part of what makes the rules so good. And yeah, so you really, there's lots and lots of scope for expanding your games and making them bigger and better. There are locations where the items will drop your weapons, and there are other pickup items as well, grenades, smoke grenades, and all kinds of fun things that really do capture that video game flavor. So that's Halo Flashpoint. I don't know whether I've done it justice, but it's done really well for Mantic, I think, particularly in the American tournament circuit and things. There's a lot of people going out there and trying it. But you don't have to be a competitive player to enjoy it. I think it has that kind of what we call a beer and pretzels game kind of attractive quality to it, which means that you're going to have fun, whatever you're doing. And I do think that the exploding eights mechanic is kind of at the heart of that. It's something that it can be very silly. You can have a moment where all the odds are stacked against you, and all of a sudden you've rolled 8 eights in a row. I'd had one particularly funny time during a demo when this 10-year-old boy was playing, and his auntie somewhat reluctantly had agreed to play with him in this demo, and he rolled 11 eights in a row and took his auntie's brawler off the board, and she instantly said, right, it's time for revenge. She got so invested in that, and that's the attraction of this game. It's that really fun experience, and a full game of this is going to take you 90 minutes. It's not going to take you all day, so it's not like a war game in that respect. It's much more like a fun board game. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time on Freeman's Fun and Games.